Hello, everybody. Welcome to the continuation of the hearing on the CVS project. Just a little bit about how this evening is going to go. I will ask staff to repeat their staff report that they provided last Tuesday at the hearing. After staff has completed the staff report, we'll have an opportunity for council to ask staff questions for public comment. Questions. Then I will open up the hearing to public comment. I will once again expand public comment from 3 minutes to 4 minutes to allow extra minute for people to get their thoughts out. And once public comment is complete, the council will go into deliberation and discussion, and hopefully vote this evening to complete this item. With that, I will ask our city attorney to begin the staff report.
I'll just repeat a few of the words I used, the things I said the other night. It's a culmination of a long negotiation that over a period of several months, the negotiation resulted in the City Council and the Committee for Small Towns Sebastopol and CVS and related parties signing a settlement agreement late Monday. And those documents were released just prior to the meeting on Tuesday night, and they've been available ever since. Because the parties negotiated right up to the last minute, there was not the normal amount of time to have all the documents out in public. That's why the council and mayor decided that they would do it over, at least do it over a period of 2 nights this week, hearing and a continued hearing, so the public would have the maximum amount of time to read all the documents. One thing we were up against was a federal court hearing next week. We literally settled this on the very evening, which is the last day we could have settled this on before we would either have had to have dropped our motions in court or would have had to commit to have a hearing in court. So literally at 9:30 at night that evening, our outside counsel was informing the federal court that the parties had in fact settled the case. So in fact, since we were negotiating up to the last minute, that's why we're now having to do it all this week in a period of just a few days. I'll turn it over to the planning director now, who will give you the details of the project history and the settlement points as he did on Tuesday night.
Thank you. The CVS project has had a long and difficult review process. The project has received its basic approvals, however, several design aspects were required to return for City Council review. In addition, after the city's 2012 approval of the project, 2 lawsuits were filed, one regarding the project approval and the second involving the city's adoption of a moratorium on drive-through uses. All of the parties involved have negotiated a settlement of the litigation. What is before the City Council is design review approval of these final design changes that the Council requested to the project, and also a resolution implementing the settlement agreement. So I'll describe the design review aspects. In 2012, the project got design review approval. However, 2 conditions specified a number of final design refinements to the project, including additional landscaping, refinement of the bank building design, modification of the plaza dimensions, and various site plan adjustments. The council's conditions required that these revisions return to the council for review and their approval. These revisions were presented to the City Council back in 2013 and are also reflected in the plans that were provided to the council on Tuesday. So I'll go through the conditions and how the project addressed them. Condition P17 required elimination of the driveway on Petaluma Avenue and substitution of a fire lane with the design of that lane to be reviewed fire chief and city engineer. The design complies with this condition. The council identified the need for a couple of additional street trees on the Sebastopol Avenue frontage. The design complies with this condition. Rather than a freestanding trash enclosure at the pharmacy building, a condition required that it be incorporated into the building, and the design complies with this condition. The pharmacy drive-through driveway into a back area of the site was required to be shifted to the south. The design complies with this condition. Additional landscape was required, and the design complies with this condition. LED lighting was required to be provided in the interior of both buildings. The applicant has committed to this condition. There's a plaza in between the two buildings that will be on the site. The plaza along Petaluma Avenue was required to be expanded by about 10 feet to the east, making it wider. The design complies with this condition. The width of parking spaces on Abbott Avenue were required to be revised for dimensions of 10 feet wide by 18 feet deep. The design complies with this condition. The width of the travel area of Abbott Avenue was required to be revised to 32 feet. The design complies with this condition. Pedestrian access was an important consideration, and the council required that the plans be revised to provide an entry door to the pharmacy at the corner of Sebastopol Avenue and Petaluma Avenue. The design complies with this condition. The council also asked for additional refinement of the design of the second building on the site, the Chase building, as it was described previously. The design has been modified and therefore complies with this condition. The settlement agreement has resulted in other changes to the project as well as various requirements. Some of the major elements that are included in the settlement agreement include the drive-through pharmacy feature and drive-up ATM features have been completely eliminated. This is a major improvement to the project, eliminating these vehicle-oriented features, which is also expected to reduce traffic generation. The CVS building has been redesigned to provide an upper level of windows. Maximum building height is increased by 4 feet from 26 feet to 30 feet. The CVS building has been shifted to the south and east to provide a more generous building setback at the highly visible corner of Sebastopol and Petaluma, which creates an improved transition from the public right-of-way. Depending on where you measure it, it's about 20 feet further back from the prior location. 2 additional display windows have been added to the CVS building on its Sebastopol Avenue side, eliminating the prior blank wall. The multiple existing parcels on the site will now be merged and adjusted into 5 parcels, which may, in the future, facilitate other appropriate development on the site. Both of the buildings on the site will include solar panels. A limited sign program will be provided for the CVS building. Left turns in and out of the site will not be included in the project. CVS will pay the city a total of $150,000 to be used for a traffic signal synchronization and optimization study, payment of small-town Sebastopol's attorney's costs, and it is anticipated that the remaining funds, which are the use of which are up to joint decision of the city and small-town Sebastopol, that those parties have discretion, that likely it would be used for implementation of the traffic signal optimization study to improve downtown traffic flow. The project will also provide 5 electric vehicle charging stations, which are to be purchased and installed at CVS's expense, 1 on site and 4 at locations specified by the city of Sebastopol. The agreement also obligates the city to approve various follow-up permits and approvals, such as a demolition permit, building permit, and other permits. It also extends the prior approvals to April 2017 and commits the city to not adopt any new regulations that would have the effect of prohibiting the development authorized by the settlement agreement. In addition, the agreement specifies that if the second building, which was previously planned for a Chase Bank is not a financial service use. It will be subject to design review by the City Council. Also, all of the many previous conditions that were applied to the project in the past are still applicable, except as they've been modified by the settlement agreement. So there's numerous conditions of approval requiring all kinds of things, all kinds of improvements to the public right-of-way and to the site. So in conclusion, in addition to eliminating ongoing substantial costs and risks of litigation, the settlement agreement will result in improvements to the project, will reduce its impacts, and will enhance its design. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Kenyon, for your report. At this time, I will open it up for any questions council members may have of staff.
In reviewing the drawings that were recently provided to us, I was wondering if there's a possibility of an elaboration from staff regarding the configuration of that roof in the pharmacy building.
It is staff's understanding that there are, in fact, what is described in the settlement agreement as a two-story elevation. So this is achieved by the greater building height and a whole new set of windows on all four sides of the project, but not a actual second floor. So that is our understanding of the design.
One of the things that drew my attention on the recently received drawings was in some areas of the building, there are design elements depicted that are called windows, and other design elements that are referred to called glass and thickened parapet wall, and I'm unclear what that refers to.
Our understanding is that the glass and thickened parapet walls is what I'm referring to as the additional windows that would be on the upper level, but in effect a high parapet wall. So we have the exterior appearance of being a second story from the outside.
So it's reasonable to conclude that the area that appears to be a second story is not a fully enclosed area. Would that be a correct conclusion to draw?
That is our understanding.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions of staff, I will open it up to public comment. I would like to start with inviting representatives of the small town Sebastopol, who is the third party in the suit, to make a statement.
Okay, actually I want to speak to the audience as well, but I think they can hear me.
Yes.
I'm here tonight to thank all of you for your support over these past 4 years. In opposing the CVS project, I also want to make it very clear that the late John Kramer and I were the only ones in the leadership of the small town Sebastopol suit brought against the CVS project, and a successful, in my view, successful resolution, no matter who else may make that claim. John and I could not have done it without the support of the more than 700 people who received updates on the suit over the years who encouraged what we were doing, and those who could helped finance the suit as well. The suit was filed on August 8, 2011, because John and I felt that the mitigated negative declaration approved by the then City Council on July 5th was based on a faulty traffic study. We felt that a bona fide environmental impact study, which the NND sidestepped, would have resulted in findings of, quote, no project, that's a legal term, based on unmitigated traffic that would be generated by the project at that key intersection. I'm convinced that the emails and phone calls made by community members to Caltrans at the urging of STS, or known as STS now, by the way, nothing to do with a communicable disease. Anyway, it kept Caltrans from approving the application CVS made to allow left turns into and out of the project site from highways 12 and 116, and I believe that helped discourage CVS and bring them to the settlement stage. So here we have a settlement. Among other concessions, that there will be no drive-throughs anywhere on the site, ever. There will be no left turns into or out of Sebastopol Avenue and Petaluma Avenues, even if Petaluma Avenue becomes a two-way street, ever. The building will be set back so that it is less conspicuous and less in its domination of that key corner, and a lot of other good stuff. One never knows how juries or jurors will vote. Here we have sure things, and we can stop the expenditure of funds to conduct both suits. I want to thank the council for making the vote to approve the settlement with CVS unanimous. It's been refreshing and constructive to have such a collegial group, and I look forward to 4 more years of the same. Plug. I've been asked if I'm happy or content with the settlement. My answer is no, but I am satisfied that this is the best possible outcome. The characteristics of the settlement is compromise. Neither side is happy. Negotiations are the art of the possible. I often close communications to the community with a quote by Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Sebastopol, to me, is the embodiment of that declaration. And here's another declaration. Ben Franklin said, "It is the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority." I think our community is the very essence of those indications, and I invite everyone who wants to email me if you have questions, and that's shane5@sonic.net. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
With that, I will invite other members of the public to come up and provide public comment.
Good evening, Mayor Jacob and council members. I will start off by saying that I'm extremely proud of our hard-working, dedicated council members, as well as the Committee for Small Town Sebastopol, who, in my opinion, were essentially forced into the unenviable position of having to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear after a previous incarnation of the City Council misguidedly approved a flawed development which would have caused traffic to back up worse than it already does, which I shudder to even think about, and to have a drive-through which would have contributed to the already deleterious traffic situation, as well as produce excess greenhouse gases. While I, of course, would rather that CVS not be built at all at what is arguably the busiest intersection in the entire West County, this outcome is probably the best that can be expected due to the previous council's misguided and flawed 3-2 vote and the well-known vagaries and uncertainties of the judicial proceedings, to which my family and I can attest.